The common sense that knit has elastic, crochet has not is a thing of the past. The elastic method was also discovered in crochet. This crocheting technique has a phenomenal stretch that breaks the conventional wisdom, explosively expanding the area covered by crochet. In the past, works that required elasticity were considered to be suitable for knitting, but now they can be crocheted. I named this technique zigzag crochet. When viewed from above, the stitches are arranged in a zigzag pattern, and this structure creates elasticity. The same mechanism is used for the rib knitting because the stitch has a zigzag structure to create elasticity. Let's take a look at how the zigzag crochet has elasticity in comparison with the knitting and crocheting methods. The comparisons are stockinette and rib knitting, single crochet and back loop single crochet, and zigzag crochet. The fabric of the back loop single crochet has elasticity in crochet, so it was added to the comparison. However, as I will point out later, the elasticity of the back loop single crochet has a slightly different characteristic. We prepared 10 cm square fabrics in a natural state. Pull it and find out how much it stretches. In the case of stockinette, it could be stretched about twice. We will call this 100% stretch. In the case of a 1x1 rib, it stretches to about 2.7 times. The stretch rate is 170%. Next, let's look at the crochet fabric. First, single crochet is barely 1.1 times. It can be said that there is almost no stretch. The stretch rate is 10%, to say the least. Next is the back loop single crochet. This is a bit special, as I said. It does not stretch in the horizontal direction, just like single crochet. But it stretches vertically. When stretched vertically, it stretches up to about 1.8 times. In other words, the stretch rate is 80%. Following the stretching performance of the existing knitting and crocheting method, let's look at the zigzag crochet. Unlike back loop single crochet, it stretches in the horizontal direction, and its length is at most twice as long. At a 100% stretch rate, this is the same value as the stockinette. Remember that the single crochet fabric barely stretched. You can see how the zigzag crochet performance is high. You may think that the back loop single crochet has good elasticity. It's not a bad value for numbers, but the direction of elongation is a problem. For example, gloves and hats expand and contract to open and close. To make such a tube by back loop single crochet, the fabric must be turned sideways. As a result, it is difficult to create complex shapes, and versatility is low. On the other hand, zigzag crochet extends in the horizontal direction. In other words, just by continuing to crochet from the usual crocheted fabric, the opening of gloves and hats can be made elastic. It is also possible to change the size by increasing or decreasing the number of stitches, to make holes through chain stitches, or to combine with other fabrics to create complex shapes. What kind of crocheting would give this much elasticity? Let's take a look at the mechanism and specific crocheting methods. Here, I will explain only the principle, so if you want to learn more, please see the commentary video I posted. In short, zigzag crochet is a variant of single crochet. By changing the arrangement of the stitches in a zigzag pattern, an elastic structure is created. Let's start zigzag crochet from regular single crochet. Alternately pick up the loops on the other side and the near side. Also, when picking the other side, turn the hook away and crochet, and when picking the near side, turn the hook forward and crochet. The direction of the stitch is changed by adding the movement of turning a hook to the normal single crochet method. By repeating this, a zigzag structure is created. Although the number of stitches has not changed, the length is about half. The zigzag structure is folded. Extend it to return it to its original length, release it to shrink it. Initially, zigzag crochet was born as one of the stitches along with single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet and so on. However, it is not possible to make work just by making a flat crocheted fabric. Therefore, as a result of the development and addition of various techniques necessary for actual work creation, zigzag crochet as a technical system is now being constructed. For example, as a basic technology, I have developed the following. How to make a chain stitch zigzag and crochet zigzag foundation, how to increase/decrease stitches without compromising elasticity, how to connect the rows smoothly when crocheting in a round, how to bind off, techniques for changing colors, etc. These are new techniques created to address the element of stretching. In addition to basic technologies, applied technologies are also developing. The development of a method of combining two tubes has made it possible to crochet a hand warmer with a thumb. And a method of connecting multiple tubes in succession has made it possible to crochet 5-finger gloves. In addition, the development of techniques that smoothly connect the edges of the crocheted fabric has made it possible to produce caps and socks. These various techniques are packaged, and zigzag crochet as a technical system is assembled. Now, zigzag crochet is not just one of the stitches, but one system. What kind of works can be made using the zigzag crochet system? Let's look at a specific example. You can make a wrist warmer, neck warmer, leg warmer, etc. by simply crocheting it into a tubular shape, and if you change your mind a little, it can also be a trash can cover. The advantage over conventional crochet is that it not only makes the shape of a tube but also expands and contracts and fits snugly. Zigzag crochet is also useful when you want to hold the contents firmly, such as the chair foot cover or umbrella grip cover, so that the crocheted fabric does not slide down. Since it has a high affinity with ordinary crocheting, it is possible to make accessories with high decorativeness by combining chain stitches or picots. In addition, you can easily add to or change existing patterns, so you can create new works by utilizing existing patterns. For example, you can add zigzag stitches to the edge of the motif to make a jug cover, combine it with an amigurumi to make an egg cozy or hat, or customize the wide-mouthed mittens to fit your wrist. Considering the combination and customization with these existing crocheting assets, there are countless ideas to use. In addition, it requires a little more advanced technology, but it is also possible to make entire complex shapes such as gloves, socks, caps, etc. using only zigzag crochet. In this way, works that have been knitted with needles can now be crocheted with a hook. However, it is not the case that the zigzag crocheting work replaces the needle knitting work. Stockinette and zigzag crochet fabrics have the same stretch ratio, but there are other differences. The most noticeable points are weight and thickness. Compared to stockinette fabric and zigzag crocheted fabric, which have the same area in a natural state, zigzag crochet is heavier and thicker. In other words, it uses more yarn. This may seem like a disadvantage, but it can also be an advantage in terms of cold protection. Also, toughness is one of the characteristics of zigzag crochet. Zigzag crochet has excellent shrinkage and does not easily lose shape even when stretched strongly. In stockinette or rib knitting, if the fabric is stretched too much, the knitted fabric will become loose, while in zigzag crochet, it will return to its original state even if it is pulled to the limit. It is a good idea to use both depending on the factors you want. For example, zigzag crochet with a hook if importance is placed on cold protection and sturdiness, and knitting with needles if importance is placed on thinness and lightness. In the past, knitting was the choice if elasticity was required, but now crochet will be an option. In that sense, the effect of zigzag crochet should extend beyond the crochet to the entire knitting world. However, the current zigzag crochet is not widely accepted and is a technique that I have only personally developed. Some techniques have not been announced yet, and there are new techniques that will come to mind. Although it is still developing, it has already been demonstrated that not only simple cylindrical works but also hand warmers, mittens, socks, caps, and gloves can be made. The ability of zigzag crochet to stretch is incredibly powerful, and it is the only in the field of crochet. So I believe that eventually, crocheters around the world will use it. If you're a crocheter, try this new technology once. I hope the zigzag crochet reaches as many crocheters as possible. Thanks for watching it.